We're back from the weekend on Locked On Coyotes. We talk about game day for Arizona. It's the Arizona Coyotes versus the Calgary Flames in their penultimate game of the long road trip. We're going to get to everything you need to know on today's episode of Locked On Coyotes.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Robyn Leonio. That's Carl Pavlak. Right beside me on today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. I want to thank everyone for making this show your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube. We got a great show for you guys on today's episode. Had a couple of days off. I think both Carl and I needed some rest after a bit of a week that we've had in the last week. That Tempe City Council meeting kind of was lengthy and drained a lot of energy out of me because the council meetings do that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, but glad to be back to get to another Arizona Coyotes game day.
Yeah. It's gonna be a fun one. The Coyotes have been losing in very disappointing ways. It's been real frustrating to watch, especially because they've been competent in so many other ways. It's weird. There's always something with this team.
Oh, always something, right? But I think there's some positive things too. Like you said, they look confident. They look like they know what they're just kind of getting a groove on that sense. And here's another thing, right? They have played 12 games on the road in a row. Yes, they came home a couple times for practice, but they played so many games on the road. Like, that's just tiring, right?
Yeah, I mean, we very rarely see road trips like this, especially so early in the season. I cannot imagine that it has been fun for the guys. I'm sure everyone it's just I want this to end. I need a homestand. Just even though like you said, they've gone home, they've practiced. There's been days off where they can do that, but it's still just a very rough time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like I mentioned, they played 12 home games in a row. They are on a 14-game road trip, which means only 2 more road games to go before they return home for their first home game in a long time. They just got the Calgary Flames tonight and the Edmonton Oilers in a couple days on Wednesday. And then it's back home on Friday. We're so close. Think about that. Friday is when they finally come home.
Yeah. I wonder, the player locker room annex thing has got to be done by now, right?
It will 100% be done by then. I think it should already be done. It should already be done. And I think because of that, the Mountain America Iceplex is available. It's open to the public.
Nice.
I don't think Public Gate is available yet because I think they have a lot of other things planned inside the rink. But yeah, the Community Ice Center there is. I want to check it out. I had kind of been meaning because I play hockey, so might as well see if they have stick time or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that we're getting more ice in Arizona. That's always a good thing. The one of the major complaints that the media had was regarding the lack of player locker rooms. We all remember those photos. The players seem to be really good about it and being like, "Hey, it is what it is."
They didn't care. Yeah. I mean, they didn't care for the being whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of things on that. I think, and then couple other things too regarding that is, to see how like now that area is going to be open, the locker room is going to be there. I do want to touch on this real quick, and I know we have a game preview to talk about, but we still have a lot of time for that.
Sure.
Just to think about now that community centers be available, the TED is also going to have a community ice center. If you think about, how the area here in the East Valley. And I'll include even Arcadia area as like Valley because like it is east of downtown Phoenix. Like how many ice rinks there are available? Like there's like people think there's not enough ice. There's Scottsdale, Ice Den Scottsdale, Mountain America, Community Iceplex. Currently still Oceanside until they decide what to do with it. I think it's getting torn down. The one in TED, if it should the voters approve of it and everything, Ice Den Chandler, Coyotes Community Ice in Mesa, Ice Den Gilbert. I mean, not Ice Den, AZ Ice Gilbert, and AZ Ice Arcadia. Like all of that is a relatively decent distance away from each other. Like everything's so close.
Yeah. I mean, the ice is definitely on the East Valley side. If you had to go and name all the West Valley ice sheets,
there's one. There's
yeah.
one in the West Valley.
Yeah. And that just speaks to a lot of what people were talking about and why the move to Tempe is necessary and why there is a better chance that's going to be successful because, it's where the people are. It's where the hockey fans are. Like hockey is bigger in the East Valley than it is in the West Valley for a variety of reasons. Like if you ever want to get into the minutia of city planning, it gets really fascinating, but you do tend to see like these kind of things arise. And, it's nice that people who live in the East Valley are going to have so many options. And let's be real, like when I was in college for my first 2 years, I lived in Glendale at ASU West. We drove to Tempe all the time. It's a very easy drive to get to Tempe from there. It's not a problem at all. So it is very much in the East Valley, but people in the West Valley can enjoy it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's what I love about, that area. Everything is so accessible. That's why hockey works in this area, people.
Yeah. Although I will say, like every time I have to drive to Scottsdale for the Ice Den, it's just like, I hate this. I hate this. It's such
the only one that's out. Like obviously, other than AZ Ice Peoria, Scottsdale is the only one that's kind of like out of the way. Gilbert is like kind of, but it's still there, right?
Yeah. Arcadia is pretty central. I often find myself just in that area doing a variety of things. So yeah, it's all very kind of.
I public skate at Arcadia a lot, so that's if you find me. But yeah, that's the thing too. Kind of coinciding with the idea that the Coyotes are coming home. That Mullet Arena's annex will finally be available. The Mountain America Iceplex becomes available to the public. And people are just going to be enjoying Coyotes hockey for a while because now they have a decent chunk of road games out of the way. There's going to be a lot of home games coming up in a few months, in like the next couple months. Like it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, definitely a lot this month. That's kind of like the thing about a 14-game road trip. You're going to get a lot more home games in the final stretch of the season. Well, the final 3/4 of the season are going to be more balanced for home games. So you're going to have plenty of chances to watch Coyotes hockey.
Absolutely. We're going to get into the official preview as the Arizona Coyotes take on the Calgary Flames tonight at around 7 p.m. We're going to get to all that on today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. But first, I do want to let you guys know that I run a busy schedule, which means sometimes I admittedly don't have all the time I get for the daily nutrition and vitamins I need for the day, and that's why I'm glad I'm able to turn to AG1 from the Athletic Greens. It's your one-stop shop of more than 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you get your day started right. Just one scoop of the special blend, and you're on your way to improve your gut health, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's lifestyle friendly. What do you keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free. Best of all, cost you less than $3 a day. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just one scoop in a cup of water every day, and that's it. No need for a million different pills, supplements to look out. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is free a 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamins, 5 free packs with your athleticgreens.com/. Again, this is athleticgreens.com/. To take ownership over your health, the ultimate daily nutrition insurance. I thank everyone once again for making Locked On Kaizen today. For your second listen, be sure to check out Locked On Sports today. From the game that are most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and the scenes. Local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today is available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Let's go ahead and now discuss the Arizona Coyotes versus Calgary Flames, Carl, in the penultimate game of this road trip. The Coyotes and the Flames are in interesting spots because we talked about the Coyotes being, competent, but also still just things aren't going their way. They're not a good team. The Flames have been disappointing in a different way, in the sense that a lot of the Flames were one of the top teams in the Pacific Division last year, and they've free-fallen to just mediocre.
I mean, that's kind of what happens when your best player walks in free agency and your second best player is like, I don't want to be here long term. In doing research for today's preview on Fat for Howling, I looked at a couple like Calgary Flames like off-season reviews, and people are like, you know what? It was bad, but we're kind of optimistic about this one. And that optimism seems to have been misplaced. The Pacific Division is weird, so who knows? But the Flames are currently fifth behind the Oilers, which is fun because the Coyotes will play the sixth, the fifth, and the fourth ranked team in the Pacific Division in a row, provided there's not changes to the standings, because Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton.
I mean, they also just played the not too long ago either.
Yeah. It's definitely, I don't know, but the Coyotes definitely should not think that this is going to be an easy one, because
no, absolutely not. I think
they're the Coyotes.
They're the Coyotes, one, and two. The Flames are the kind of team that will not underestimate them, because they're still trying to battle their own battles.
Yeah. And I don't think they're in a position right now to underestimate anyone. If you are the Flames, you need to be going into every game like this one. We could lose it, because you've lost quite a few. They're what, 11, 10, and 3? Not exactly a great record. Still winning.
What I still think is crazy how we've come a long way from the beginning of the road trip, where the Coyotes were one of the good, I don't want to say good teams, but they had a really good stretch, right, for a couple games. They looked really good, and then kind of things, like you said, didn't go their way. They look competent, but they just can't. Just talent wise can't compete. And look at all that. Let's remember that this is a tanking team still, technically. That is going to try to this year draft either Connor Bedard or Adam Fantilli. Like it's,
Yeah.
um, and that's just the fact, right? Because I mean, be honest, Armstrong kind of mentioned stuff like that at the Tempe City Council meeting. Anyway, he's like, "Yeah, right now we're just picking up contracts and we're building through the draft." I'm like, "You legit said this at a city council meeting that you're picking bad contracts, like actually on the record." Like, I love it.
Yeah, I mean everyone needs to have like a very clear idea of what the Coyotes are doing, and everyone seems to. It's fine, but I do think that it's important that they go into every game thinking that they're going to win. We always say it. Uh, Players don't tank, GMs do. So
Mhm.
yeah, and after just so many mistakes in their last few games, they really need to clean it up. Like they got another too many men on the ice calls against the Vancouver Canucks, which we've talked about so many times this season. Like, how long are we going to have to talk about too many men on the ice? That seems like a problem that should
Yeah,
be fixed.
as we talked about, too many men on the ice, and of course also delay of game. Two penalties that really you should not be taking. Like there are just fundamental, just dumb penalties. There are situations where I mean, no penalty is really a good penalty, but there are penalties that are like more worth taking. Like a
A
like an
hooking call when someone's on like a partial breakaway, like
yeah.
those kind of like, you had to do something to keep that person from scoring. Like that's fine. Uh, Potentially, depending on your thoughts on the game, like some roughing calls can be fine if you like the
Exactly.
more physical aspects. But and I will give a little bit of leeway for delay of game puck over the glass because things happen. Delay of game, like hand on puck, absolutely not. Uh, the face off violation, where two people get tossed and you get a penalty, no. And too many men on the ice, like just what are you doing with those calls?
the
And
it's what we call the bench minors, right? If you're
yeah,
getting assessed a bench minor, you're making something. You're doing dumb.
yeah, and it'd be like one thing if they got like one bench minor. Let's say like the
Like one bench minor, like a month, right?
yeah.
But you're doing it like you said, like what, two, right? You said two, like
Yeah, there was once, and both times I believe led to a Vancouver goal. Or
yeah,
no, maybe the first one didn't. I forget because they had 8 penalties against the Vancouver Canucks. Just insane.
yeah. It is definitely. And so like those kind of things, you can't make those dumb things. And the Coyotes unfortunately do that all the time. They make too many dumb penalties. I mean, they just take too many penalties if we're being real still.
Mhm.
And I think that kills any momentum that they can potentially try to generate, and it creates problems that way. You just can't do that.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is if they're just like if they're not ready for the push after they score a goal, if they're just getting outplayed, they need, or if it's the long road trip is finally getting to them and they need some time at home. Like it could be anything, it could be everything. I just, I'm sure we're gonna have to watch it for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to watch it for the rest of the season. But we'll like I'm sure we'll see a lot of difference in these last two games of the road trip. Maybe there can be like a spark of like, hey, like let's try to end this road trip on a good note and come back home with momentum, so we can have a good game against the Boston Bruins on Friday.
Yep,
That's the hope, right?
absolutely the hope. Just finish strong. I know it's been a struggle lately.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to keep talking about this Arizona Coyotes versus the Calgary Flames. We're going to get to our BetOnline picks of the game. We're going to take a look at some more keys to the game as well as players to watch out for. All that and more on this episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. But first,
Today's episode brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. It's where you can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. They've got it all at BetOnline. And if you love sports podcasts, of course you do, you're listening to one, you can get those on BetOnline as well. It's the fastest and easiest way to get all of your betting information. Head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts.
I once again want to give a reminder to people to go ahead and check out for your second listen Locked On Sports today. They definitely go beyond the scoreboard, behind the scenes, with a lot of different news that local experts that Locked On can provide. Once again, Locked On Sports Today is available on this app, on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. But let's go ahead and preview, the other things for the Arizona Coyotes versus the Calgary Flames as we take a look at. Before we get into our BetOnline picks of the game, though, let's go ahead and go to keys. I mean, we kind of already talked about the biggest one in penalties. But what other two keys would you say are important for the Coyotes to focus on to try to beat Calgary?
5-on-5 play, which I think they've been pretty good at. The power play is not clicking right now. Gotta generate that offense 5-on-5. And of course, goaltending. Vejmelka has been keeping his team in games that they have no business being as close as they are. But yeah, I would say those two.
That would definitely make sense. I think those two are pretty solid keys. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones I had in my head. I think those are probably the best to assess. I think that's really much you can do. And I guess the only other thing is start off good. Kind of like I think you've seen situations in which still they don't have good starts and they're still able to bounce, to kind of catch back up. But I still want to see a complete game.
Yeah, maybe we'll get another Christian Fischer goal to start us off.
Another Christian. I would love to see a Christian Fischer goal. Oh my God, that would be absolutely amazing. But on that note, who is a player that you want to watch out for?
Ooh. Nick Bjugstad continues to impress me. And he seems like he has a good chance of being like the dark horse player of the game every single night. Kind of like how Nick Ritchie was at the end of last year. That's Nick Bjugstad this year.
Oh, Nick Bjugstad has been amazing, right? Like, I think ever since the dad's trip, he's just been like a lot more highlighted. Like, he still played well beforehand, right? He has a really good, even if he's not generating points, he has a really good presence on the ice.
Absolutely. He has just been a phenomenal pickup and playing really well. And I'm curious to see if he can keep it up.
Yeah, we'll. So I'll definitely agree with you. Let's keep an eye out on Nick Bjugstad in tonight's game. But that brings us to our BetOnline picks of the game as we take a look at BetOnline and the odds provided by them, and get our thoughts on how we think this game. Are we going to bet against the spread or not? We'll find out as we take a look right now, as the Arizona Coyotes are 1.5 underdogs at plus 100. Calgary Flames are favored in the line plus 285 if you bet on the Arizona Coyotes. Set at 6.
I would say bet the over. The Flames have had a couple of really good games lately. against the Washington Capitals and the Florida Panthers, where they won, I believe it was 5-2, 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
And the Coyotes have been good for at least 2 goals of the game. So to me, that seems like we're looking at 6-2 Flames.
6-2 Flames.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the biggest margin you've predicted so far this season.
Against the Flames, a team that I do not think are very good. So that's fun. I think that the Coyotes have just been making too many mistakes. The Flames are a team that needs a win. Like I said, they've won against good teams. I think they could win against the Coyotes.
Yeah. I'm gonna slightly disagree with you on the sense that, I think the Coyotes have, as I kind of mentioned earlier, to kind of drive up the end of this road trip. And yeah, it's probably against the grain because usually they're really, really tight, and that's their worst. Um, but rarely road trip long kind of turn things get at this point. I'm gonna say this game is closer. I'm not predicting the Arizona Coyotes to win because honestly, that's kind of dumb of me to do so. I'm gonna, and I am with you. This game is gonna be. Oh, I think that the Coyotes will cover the spread. I'm gonna go ahead. It's a 4-3 Calgary Flames win.
4-3. I mean the Coyotes have been keeping games tight. Other than like the Los Angeles game kind of got away from them. So I could see that. I could definitely see the 4-3. My 6-2 is definitely predicting a very good Calgary Flames team, which, like I said, I don't even really believe is a thing. So I'm curious to see which of us is closer.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the time in a while we've had a lot of differing opinions, but where it's like slightly the same, but also like different final outcomes, like completely final outcomes.
Yeah. Very rarely are we so far off from each other. Which it's interesting. It kind of at this stage, it's tough to know what to think about the team. Which one of the Coyotes are going to show up tonight? Who knows? Just it'll be a good one to watch. It's another 7:00 one as opposed to those horrible 8:30 games.
Oh, absolutely. You want before we close things up?
Let's see. Oh, I just want to say Jacob Chikrin has been playing really well. Definitely up in that trade value. I'm sure half the scouts in the league are watching him, so you should be as well.
Absolutely. That's definitely another thing to pay attention to. I love Drake and I hope the best for him. Whatever. I hope he ups his value enough to get to a good team.
Same.
Anyways, it's going to be an episode of the Locked On Coyotes Plus. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe. If you have yet to already, we are available everywhere you get your podcast, including YouTube. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, on Instagram @LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter @LO_. Interact with a question you might have. I might answer right back. Episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thank everyone for tuning in today's episode. Hope you guys staying there. Hope you guys staying healthy, and don't forget, howl on.